to welcome you today to the Anacortes Planning Commission meeting of August 27th. And Ms. Gleichman, would you please take roll?
Commissioner Mills.
Present.
Commissioner McCombs. Commissioner Ryan.
Present.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Commissioner Stoneman.
Here.
Commissioner Jaretsky.
Here.
Commissioner Courier.
Here.
Okay. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance, would you please join me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Item number 3 is minutes, and Ms. Gleichman just informed me that we will have a number of minutes soon, but not for tonight. Number 4 is public comment, and it is awesome to see so many of you here tonight. So let me explain about the public comment. This is your opportunity to speak about something that's not on the agenda, and I have a list of people that would like to speak. We will also have a public hearing right after this, and it looks like most of you have signed up that I can see for the public hearing. But first, let's talk about just public comment. Something that's not on the agenda. We will be happy to give you 3 minutes. You can come up to the podium, state your name and the city that you live in, and give us whatever comments you would like to give. I'm just going to pause for a minute. I'm assuming most of you are here for the public hearing. So, anybody online for public comment?
There are no hands raised.
Okay. Item number 5 is a public hearing for the 2025 Comprehensive Plan Periodic Update. Public hearing on the draft proposal 2025 to 2045 Comprehensive Plan. Thank you. Okay. We will still give you 3 minutes in order to save some time. If you have the same thing to say as somebody that's already spoken, if you wouldn't mind just saying, you know, I agree with so-and-so or whatever, that would just save us some time. But we will give you your full 3 minutes. This is not a time for question and answer back and forth. So the commission is here to hear, and most of us will take notes on what you have to say. And we do appreciate that you care enough to come. So I'm just going to go down the list. The first person on the list is Vicki. Is Miss Libby Grage.
Good evening. I'm Libby Grage. I'm the planning manager in the Planning, Community, and Economic Development Department, the City of Anacortes. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you all. And I think first, we do have a brief presentation just as background, because I think there are probably some folks online and in the audience that maybe haven't been following along the entire process, which has been going on for a while. So I was just going to do a brief overview to bring us all up to speed. And then first, I think John Coleman, the director, would like to say a couple words too.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Planning Commission. My name is John Coleman. I'm the director of the Planning, Community, and Economic Development Department. Nice to see so many people here today. Thank you all for coming. It's very good to see so many people actively engaged in this important visioning process. So, since a lot of people may not have been following this closely over the past year and a half, 2 years that we've been working on this process, I'm going to just give a brief overview of some of the highlights. I'm going to try to keep it very brief. And then Libby's going to give a brief presentation before we open it up to public hearing.
Okay.
So as was already mentioned, this is the 2025 to 2045 periodic update of our comprehensive plan. This update is a required update per the Growth Management Act. We have to update our comprehensive plan every 10 years. And in that update process, we look at our next 20 years of projected growth. So this time we're looking at how much growth we're anticipating between 2025 and 2045. So what does that all mean? We're required to project how much population we're expecting over the next 20 years. Along with that projection, we also have to look at how much housing we're going to have to accommodate over the next 20 years to provide homes for those people that are moving to the city. We also have to anticipate 20 years worth of jobs growth. So the process with the county that happened back in 2024, we looked at how much the county was going to grow by, and then we extrapolated based on past performance of other cities or past growth of all the cities, and extrapolated how much of that growth is going to then go to each city. So Anacortes, we used our past population growth to project how much we're expecting over the next 20 years. Same with jobs. And then the Department of Commerce helped out with providing information about how many housing units are going to be necessary, and I'll get into that a little bit. So just as a baseline, what we're talking about is we're expecting just under 5,000 new residents between 2023 and 2045. And that sounds like a lot. Right now we're at about 18,000 people. What that really is if we look at our past population growth, it's actually a little slower rate of growth than we've seen in previous decades, but still pretty close to what we've seen in the past decades. To accommodate those residents, we're anticipating about 2,942 new homes are necessary, and we're also expecting to accommodate 3,145 jobs. So what that means is now we need to make sure that we've got enough land within our city limits and urban growth area to accommodate that number of houses and the number of jobs. So we did a whole land use analysis, land capacity analysis last year, and determined that we don't need to expand our urban growth area boundaries in order to accommodate that growth. We have enough space within our existing planning area. One note about these population projections is they're exactly that. They're projections. They're not targets. We're not saying we'd like to see this many people come. Some people might like to see that many people. I'm sure a lot of people that live here would not like to see that many people come here. What we're doing is we're making sure that we're addressing the future anticipated growth. So just because, in such a case where we felt like maybe we don't want to accommodate that much growth, we still want to be prepared to, because the people are going to move here. We don't have a way of saying you can't move to Anacortes. We can't shut the door and say you can't come in. People will likely move here. And so we just want to be prepared for that growth. That way we don't suffer the ills of unplanned growth, which means what we want to do is we want to make sure that we've got enough sewer capacity, we have enough water capacity, our roads are in such shape that it can handle the anticipated growth in traffic, and then we can also look at the financial aspects of this and make sure that we're planning ahead for all of these capital facilities and housing and whatnot. So this process, where we're at now, is the comprehensive plan review. After the comprehensive plan, there's also development regulation updates, but the comprehensive plan is the vision statement that says, how do we want our city to look in 20 years? And so we go through this public process where we ask people to participate. We use information, the staff researches, information from the state, past information, what do we have in the city limits, and what will we need? And so we're trying to bridge that gap between what we have and what we will need over the next 20 years. And we put that into our vision statement. That is our comprehensive plan. So this is the public's opportunity to say how they'd like their community to look over the next 20 years. And so we are tasked with not only putting down what the community wants, we also have to balance that with regulations that the state has in the Growth Management Act. Over the past couple of years, there's been some major changes to the Growth Management Act that requires us to now allow ADUs, and the Planning Commission's talked a little bit about that. Well, I think we still have more discussion around that. We're required to have a climate element, so that's a new part of our comprehensive plan, and I know the Planning Commission's seen a lot of that. We're also required to not only make sure we have enough land to accommodate all of our future housing, we have to make sure that we've got the zoning in place to accommodate different types of housing. So the state's now saying you have to plan not just to accommodate all of your housing as one type, say single-family houses or all apartments. You have to provide a mix. And what that means is what we really need to accommodate is housing in all sections of the area median income. So that means people who earn 0 to 30% of the area median income, they make a very small amount of money. And we need to make sure that zoning and systems are in place to accommodate that type of housing. We don't necessarily have to build it, but we have to make sure that our rules allow for it. And that's going to be anything in the 0 to 30s, going to be some sort of subsidized housing. 30 to 50% AMI, area median income, is the next segment. That's also likely to be some sort of supported housing. And the income brackets go up from there. It's 50 to 80% AMI, 80 to 100% AMI, and then 100 to 120% AMI, and then 120 and above. What the state says is that single-family homes, based on what it costs to build a new single-family home, a wage-earning family needs to be in the 120% AMI or higher in order to purchase or build a new single-family residence. So the Department of Commerce from the state gave some guidelines about housing types, like multifamily housing would be in that 0 to 80 and 0 to 50. Those are the types of housing that could accommodate those AMIs. And then
Mr. Coleman, just for the sake of everybody, can you explain what AMI means? and
area
what is-
median income.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
that changes annually right now. Last year was about $108,000 for a family. And there's I don't want to get into the details on that, but that's, if you make $108,000 in 2024, that was roughly the area median income. And at that wage, you can see it would be tough to buy a new single-family house when it's going for over $700,000. So what we're trying to achieve, what we're required to achieve, is making sure that we have zoning and housing policies in place to accommodate other types of housing besides single family. So that means, duplexes, fourplexes, condominiums, multifamily, smaller apartments, single family houses, accessory dwelling units. So that's been a large part of what we've worked on. So I'm going to stop right there with just one brief reminder that there's a lot of information available here, and hopefully the community's had a chance to look at all. If you go to our city 2025 to 2045 comprehensive update website on the planning page, you'll find all of that information broken down by the different elements of the comp plan. And if that's too hard to look up, I always like to say we've also created a website or a shortcut called Anacortes.com or Anacortes.org that'll get you to that page. Always like to plug that. There's a lot of information there. We're holding a public comment tonight. We technically closed the public comment period after this. I think tomorrow is the last day, but we're going to keep it open because our development regulations we're still working on. We're going to bring those to the city council, or bring those to the planning commission, in the near future. And so there's no reason to necessarily close the comprehensive plan public comment period while we haven't made any decisions. We're not expecting Planning Commission to make any decisions tonight, and we recommend that we leave the public comment period open after this meeting. So I'll turn it over to Libby Grage now. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, John, for that introduction. I will try not to repeat too much of that. I don't think I will. So the purpose of tonight's hearing is that it is an opportunity for the public to provide their formal input on the proposed updates to the city's comprehensive plan. I was going to provide a brief overview of the overall update process, highlight key changes, and then recommend that we open the floor to public comment. So the comprehensive plan is, as John mentioned, it's the long-range plan that guides growth, development, and investment in Anacortes over the next 20 years. It has 9 elements within it, including land use, housing, economic development, capital facilities, utilities, transportation, parks, recreation and open space, environment and conservation, and the new climate element. And the comprehensive plan is required under by the Growth Management Act, which is a state law that has been around since the 90s. The Growth Management Act is a law that requires fast-growing counties and cities to plan to manage population growth, and we do that through our comprehensive plans and our implementing development regulations. The Growth Management Act has 15 planning goals that are sort of the framework for comprehensive plans. Comprehensive plans need to be, for all cities and counties that are planning under GMA, need to be consistent with the planning goals. This is just a summary. These aren't the full goals, but you're welcome to go take a look at the statute to see the full text there. The goals aren't in any order of priority in the state law. It's really up to the local jurisdictions to develop their comprehensive plans and development regulations to be not in conflict with these goals, to give some effect to the goals, and not and to prioritize and balance between the goals in accordance with the community's vision for its future. So it's what we're doing through this process. So again, we're required to do an update to the comprehensive plan under the Growth Management Act. This is a mandatory update that GMA requires every 10 years. The last periodic update that the city completed was done in, the comprehensive plan was done in 2016, and the development regulations were a few years later in 2019. So it's been a little while. The reason that another reason to do the update is to ensure that all of our local policies and regulations are consistent with state law. And also, making sure that, as John mentioned, planning for growth, we want to avoid the ills of unplanned growth. So going through this process helps us plan appropriately and make sure we have the infrastructure in place to accommodate the projected future growth. So with the periodic update, there are some mandatory requirements. So the state law Growth Management Act requires the city to look at or to address certain topics through the update process, and that includes the new growth projections that John mentioned, and also looking at the urban growth area capacity to accommodate those growth projections. We also look at changes in state law, new legislation passed by the Washington State Legislature, and there's been quite a bit recently, especially since 2016. A lot of new legislation around housing, and there's also been new law requiring jurisdictions to plan for climate change. This is just a slide sort of recapping the growth information, the growth projections. So that you'll see, so these are 20-year growth projections. This table is showing the 2022 estimated information for population and jobs, and then what is projected for 2045, and then the difference, so the anticipated or projected growth over that 20 years. This table comes out of one of the documents that's available on the website, the land capacity analysis that John mentioned. It is sort of showing the number of projected housing, it's projecting housing needs in number of units based on income band. So you can see down at the bottom, you've got the 0 to 30, 31 to 50, 51 to 80, and so on. And then these bars are showing the projected need for new homes affordable to these income levels. And so you can see the biggest need here is the 0 to 30%, with a little over 900 units projected to be needed over the next 20 years. And then so on, 604 new units in the 31 to 50, so on and so on. And so the land capacity analysis corresponds the different income levels with the types of housing that are likely to be affordable to those income levels, and then the city has to make sure that we have the zoning in place to accommodate those types of housing throughout the city. So in addition to the mandatory updates that are just required under GMA and the state law, we also have some updates that are not mandatory, but are proposed in order to address local needs. The City Council last year docketed a list of development regulation and comp plan policy amendments that you can find. Resolution 3161 is available on our project website, but that contains a list of, in addition to all of the state mandated things, these are the other items that we want to consider as part of the update process. So those include some different revisions to policies around housing, walkability, and historic preservation. There were some petitions from landowners to change the future land use designation of their properties. The city submitted a request to the county to change the urban growth area boundary to include certain city-owned parcels that are adjacent to the Anacortes community forest lands in order to eventually bring those into city limits so that the city's regulations would apply. And those properties are all, or most of them are protected by restrictive covenants that mean that their use will continue to be recreation, ACFL, city operations purposes. So they will not be used to accommodate any housing or jobs growth. And actually that amendment was adopted by the county not too long ago. And then also on the docket is some property owner proposed or some citizen-initiated development regulation amendments. So this isn't comp plan amendments, but development regulations. So they wanted to see certain changes to regulations, and so those are being considered through this process as well. So I know there's a lot of different things that are being updated, and so I wanted to give you a summary of those things and kind of what to expect coming up, because tonight is our public hearing about the comprehensive plan, and that is sort of the policy level guidance document that we will soon be releasing our draft amendments to development regulations, which the development regulations are actually the rules that govern what can be built on the ground and how. So that includes things like the zoning regulations, the official zoning map, permitted uses, subdivision standards, parking, lot size, setbacks. So all of those details and standards are in development regulations. And we have not released a draft for public review yet. So that will be coming in September, soon. And then finally, critical areas regulations are also required to be updated as part of this process. Currently, the city has hired a consulting firm to look at the best available science, which we're required to use in designating and protecting critical areas, looking at what has changed in the best available science since the last time we conducted an update. And so they're working on writing those reports right now. And we should have some drafts on that soon. The next steps for that part of the process will be doing some public engagement and then ultimately drafting amendments, and those will also go through a public review process. So the comprehensive plan and development regulations have a deadline of December 31st, 2025. So we expect to have those adopted by City Council by that date. The critical areas regulations are also, they have a due date of December 31st, 2025. However, as long as the city continues making substantial progress towards completing those updates, the actual deadline is when you get a 1-year extension. So we anticipate meeting that deadline. So just a quick overview of the process that we've been through so far for this periodic update. The process was broken down into 2 phases. Phase 1 was occurring all through 2024. There was a lot of information gathering and analysis. We did a lot of public outreach, going to different community events over the summer and trying to get the word out that this update process was happening, and asking people to get involved, to sign up for email lists, distribution lists, so that they could be notified of upcoming dates and releases of draft documents, et cetera. The City Council established a climate team by resolution, which was formed to help in the development of the new climate element. And so they met 4 times over the course of last year to help guide that document. City staff also released draft preliminary goal and policy revision proposals in sort of a table format for each element. And so, and that's available on the website as well. So you'll see for each element the existing comprehensive plan language, goals and policies, the proposed change to the policy, if there was one, in strike-through underline format, and then a rationale or the reason for the proposed change. So you can kind of track, what this was required because state law changed, or, trying to consolidate policies to make things, more concise and clear, things like that. So that's all available for the public. All of those, we've been calling them revision trackers, but those documents all went through a public comment period and public hearings. So that all happened last year. So we got public feedback on those, and then took all of that input and created a complete, compiled draft comprehensive plan. Draft comprehensive plan that we released in July of this year. And so that is sort of the kickoff, the beginning of phase 2, which is where we're at now. So the next steps are going to be releasing the draft development regulations, as I mentioned, public comment, public hearings on those, and then ultimately City Council review and adoption of all of these amendments. This is just a visual format calendar or timeline showing the overall process from the beginning of 2024. We are here where the yellow circle is in phase 2. Just real quickly, next steps after tonight, and we can talk about this later too if there are questions, commissioners. As John mentioned, we would just recommend keeping the public hearing open, keeping the public comment period open after tonight. There will be another Planning Commission meeting on September 10th where we could continue to take comments if needed, and plan to discuss the new draft development regulation amendments. So that'll be sort of the beginning of that discussion. And then this is trying to estimate what's going to be happening at each Planning Commission meeting over the next couple of months to get through this process. This will all be putting this presentation online so folks can get to this schedule. So again, how to comment. We're glad you're all here tonight to provide your feedback. So that is one way that you can provide public comments. You can also submit written comments to complan@anacorteswa.gov. You can also mail written comments to this address. And then just another plug for planacortes.org or com. It doesn't matter, either one will get you there. And there's just so much information on the website that has been developed to support this update process. So this is just a list of all of those reports and analysis. Okay, I'm done. Sorry for taking so long. All right, that's all I have. And
Thank you. That was very helpful. Okay, so now we're going to officially open the public hearing for the comprehensive plan. And I'm just going to use the list of, in the order that you signed up. And if you came in and didn't have a chance to sign up, or you want to speak after that, you're welcome to do that. Again, I'm going to ask that you come to the podium, make sure the microphone is on, and we will give you 3 minutes. And I believe, can you see?
So that one has the countdown, and then there's also the red, yellow, green lights on the podium.
Okay. So I'm going to, because there are so many of you, I'm going to try and be pretty much of a stickler to make sure that it stays to the 3 minutes so that we can make sure we hear from all of you, because that's what we want to do. Okay. With that, the first person is Vicki Starch. I hope I'm not saying names wrong. And this is regarding housing. So, yeah, push the button so it's...
Is it on now? It
Yeah.
is. Good
So
evening,
just-
commissioners.
Just say your name
Yeah.
and your city. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Vicki Stosh. I live at 2003 39th Street, Anacortes, and I'm here tonight to talk about the housing element of the plan and to tell you that I am definitely a supporter of the need for all types of housing. I've worked in the community in various aspects with seniors, with low-income people, with wealthy people, the whole 9 yards over the years, and I see a big need for particularly that housing for kind of what we call the middle area. Families, seniors that maybe are wanting to downsize. We have some really good examples already of townhouses, triplexes, even ADUs that to me look just great. One example is the housing across the street from the library. Those are condos, but you never know it looking at them, at least stereotypically. So I would really encourage us to move forward in that direction. We can't just be a community of can't afford us, which we are known as in many ways. We have lots of families here who are below the median income. They are the people that are working in the restaurants, the nursing homes, the hospitals. That's all taken account in your plan. So I commend you for the work that you've done. So again, I support, and I hope that anybody that's here tonight that's a NIMBY will also come around to that point of view after they've read the plan. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next person, Stan and Dee. I'm sorry, I just hate butchering people's names. Shimkus.
Stan Shumkus, 1307 Erie Avenue, and I guess Mary Stoll, she's probably heading this whole thing up. The flyer we got in the mail, I just thought it was junk mail. And on the back side, there was a lot to read, but I didn't go all the way through it. After I threw it away, she contacted us and said, hey, did you read everything that's on there? So I hadn't, but I'm concerned because there's two lots between us, between Erie and Dakota, and I understand that it's possible that the zoning would be changed from residential to multifamily, and I don't know if multifamily is a duplex or triplex or exactly what it is, but I'm concerned about that. Also, the property that is there, it has never been mowed. West 2nd is, I guess it's the designated wetlands. Well, the city is pretty good. Man, every time it gets up a little bit, they're out there with their little robot cutting it down. But in between the two houses here, between Dakota and our house, the grass is up 4 feet, and it is a fire hazard. Thank goodness we haven't had a fire, but I would think that the city must have some ruling that a property owner would take care of their lot. So anyway, that's my concerns. I'm sure Mary has a lot more to put in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next, Carol France, wanting to speak about housing. Oh, that's fine. No problem. All right, next person, Sandra Shimkus. Pass. Thank you. Next person, Ron Johnson, regarding the plan.
I'll ditto the previous ones. I thought that was a sign-in. I'm new to the community. Ron Johnson from Anacortes. However, as long as I got 3 minutes, my one concern, or multiple concerns with the plan, I've already submitted written comments, but with the recent legislative session, it seems like our state government is trying to discourage business and investment in the state. So I'm not sure that growth in a positive vein is necessarily predictable anymore. We could also have negative growth. So I just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person, Mark, I'm not sure, Leone?
It's Mark Leone, 4902 Paisley Place, Anacortes. I just want to reiterate Vicky Stasha's comments. I owned a small business here in town for 20 years, and it was a hospitality business. Service workers were very difficult to find places in Anacortes to work, to live, and support their families. So I think it's a critical issue to find and make adjustments to building codes to allow for development of affordable housing. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person, Heather McPhail, Housing and Transport.
Is this on?
Yep.
Okay.
Just state
I'm
your-
here in
just-
support of a couple policies.
Just state your name and your
Oh, I'm
city.
sorry. My
That's
name is
okay.
Heather McPhail. I live on Macbeth Drive, 5105. I'm here to support a couple policies that are in the plan as presented to us so far. One is policy H-46, which is that the policy is to look into more emergency shelters, especially for our youth. The last I checked with Director Johnson at the Family Center, there were over 200 children, who are couch surfing in Anacortes. This shouldn't happen. So that's, I was pleased to see that you've taken that into consideration and that you're encouraging it. The next two policy numbers are policy T2.32 and T2.33. They have to do with transportation for the elderly who, I'm old and I live out in Skyline, and if I get to the point where I can no longer drive, which I hope won't happen too soon, but I will have to walk a mile to get to the bus. And I think that needs to be reconsidered too. The idea on those two policy items that I mentioned to you are, would be a reasonable answer to that problem for a lot of people who live out there. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Next person, Mary, I think it's Stahl, Housing and Zoning. By the way, you can just state that you live in Anacortes. You don't have to state your whole address unless you want to.
Okay. Mary Stahl, and I live in Anacortes.
Thanks.
Well, I really came here to ask questions, and apparently we're not doing that. So I live on Dakota, and we had questions about this particular piece of property that when it was sold, the new person that bought it immediately wanted to go and went downtown to see about building a triplex. Now, we don't have, the neighborhood is kind of small. West 2nd is a grass path, and there's an alley behind me, and then the neighbors live on either side. And a triplex would be completely out of character for the neighborhood. And I know that Ryan has talked about organic integration, which I kind of don't get the connection with the word to building, but anyway, this is our concern, that our lovely little neighborhood is going to somehow be ruined by either triplexes or mini homes, ADUs, in this particular lot, which is 1/3 of an acre. So that's just, I mean, not against all of the, having more housing. Anacortes is definitely unaffordable for many low-income people, but we can't do that at the sacrificing our neighborhoods to it either. So that's my thing for now. Otherwise, I have a million questions, which you're not going to answer.
Just,
Thank you.
just for your sake and the rest of the audience, yes, we're not answering questions right now, but there are many answers actually online already. You can check what the zoning is, and you can also check with our great staff.
It says what the zoning is now.
You have to speak in.
It says what the zoning is now. There's no comparison. There's no, this is what the zoning is now. This is what we're proposing. Okay, we don't see any of that. Also, the notice that I got in the mail from you a couple of weeks ago was the first that I've really heard about this planning commission, which apparently has been going on for a year and a half. So that's my rant. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, Pat Barrett, regarding Olson and medium housing.
Thank you for your time. I don't think you'll have a problem hearing me. My name is Pat Barrett. I live in Anacortes, Washington, in Old Town. I think that's in Washington State. Anyway, the bottom line is I have a few comments to make and acknowledge that thank you all for doing what you're doing. It's a tough job. I sit on a government housing, I sit on the Anacortes Housing Authority, and it's the first time I've sat on a government panel or a government commission. It's hell, because you can't really air your laundry in public very easily, because everybody hears it and nobody wants to see your dirty laundry. Anyway, bottom line is, from a housing standpoint, and I'll echo Mark's comments with regard to housing. My family has been in town for a long time, and we are very active in the community and own several, and are active in various businesses. And my son owns Pelican Books. And Eli says very eloquently that the biggest risk to true small business in this town is housing. I mean, we can all talk about, the ability to build a big house and the zoning problems and the headaches with the city to build a big house out in Skyline or out in, Rock Ridge or places like that. But that's not where our challenge lies. We can't hire people for restaurants in this town because they can't afford to pay those people to live here. And it's not that they want to buy a big house. His employees just can't find a rental. It's tough. And the fact that we've loosened the ADU rules up is great. That's going to help a lot. But we need housing, not two-bedroom housing, frankly. The Housing Authority has quite a few two-bed. It's the least demanding housing that they have coming to them. What they need is single family or single people, two people living in a home, and you don't need a big house for that. I say that, and I live in a big house because I bought a big house in Old Town, and it worked out for us. But as a family, we believe in housing and getting our kids here and keeping them in town so that they can continue to work. On the housing note, I appreciate the fact that in the plan, you've changed light manufacturing on the Olson building property to CBD. It helps us keep in line with our goals as a housing authority to build that property out. The plans aren't final yet. The permitting process has started. The goal at this stage of the game is to have 27 units.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr.
All right.
Barrett.
All right. Anyway, good job. Thanks for doing it. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Next person, Dustin. Might be Johnson? Yeah.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dustin Johnson I live and work in Anacortes. My day job is as the Anacortes Family Center's executive director, and I am not an expert in a lot of things. I'm an expert in a few things, one of them being affordable housing and the need for more access for housing for low-income people. I sat as the president of the Senior Center as the president of the Senior Center Foundation Board. One of the things that we heard continuously is that our seniors don't have the ability to downsize because they can't afford places to downsize to age in place. So we're kicking our seniors out of their housing, or they're not moving out of housing to make room for new families or families that are people wanting to return to our community. I think it's important when Libby talks about those income ranges, who are those people? And if you look at the 0 to 50% median income range, you're looking at someone who's making $40,000 to $50,000 a year if they're a family of 4, so two adults, 2 kids, or a single mom with 3 kids. And that's not uncommon in our community. That person is making between $20 and $25 an hour. What we heard consistently and what I hear consistently in our community is we want those folks to live in this community for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you look at the crisis point that we're at with our school district, the biggest reason that our school district is constricting in so many ways is because we don't have the ability for new families to move here. And so our enrollment rates are dropping and dropping and dropping. The second biggest issue that we see, and I just had a conversation with the family that owns many of the assisted living facilities around AFC and in neighboring areas, and what they continuously say is that they cannot plan for an emergency if one or both bridges were to go out. The support staff that would need to come to support the patients living in assisted living, to open our hospitals, to open our clinics, simply wouldn't be able to get on island because they can't afford to live here. Therefore, those folks are going to go suffering, people are going to die, and those consequences are going to be huge. So what I stand here asking you today as the leaders in our community around planning is to make planning easier, especially at the affordable levels. Remove the barriers. It is not a silver bullet. There are still so many issues to building affordable housing in our community, but reducing barriers is absolutely attainable and is something that is well within your reach. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, I believe it says Tarn Ohana. And this is regarding climate change, element, land capacity, analysis, etc.
I apologize for my handwriting.
That's okay.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I wanted to thank the Planning Commission and the Planning Department.
State your name and your city.
My name is Tarn Ohana. I'm a resident of Anacortes, Washington.
Perfect.
I wanted to thank the Planning Commission and the Planning Department for their outreach and communication. The planacortes.org website, I think it's really well done. I wanted to thank everyone for that. A lot of people have come here to talk about the need for housing and different types of housing, so I'm going to kind of gloss over that. But we need more homes of different types everywhere in this city. I've noticed that the current plan continues to cluster high-density homes, which are going to be more affordable to younger families, people with children, on our high-volume arterials, high-speed, high-volume arterials, which tend to be much more dangerous, more polluted. And I think that is an error when we talk about the planning document as a vision for our community, our values. I think we need to consider pushing the limits on what we consider medium housing throughout the city. There's no place in Anacortes should be inaccessible to transit. It's not a particularly big city. We should be capable of handling getting people to and from their homes, to work, to their leisure, without needing to operate a motor vehicle at any age, really. I'd like to address some of the policies and goals. I think goal H2, which is the allowing for organic change, but limiting that change so it's not extreme, it's very wishy-washy. That doesn't really address what organic change looks like and how extreme change looks. Gives us a lot of wiggle room. There are some specific transportation policies that I'd like to address in the remaining minute. Policy T-1.10, I would like to point out that damage to the road surface, which turns out to be a very expensive city expenditure to fix and also hurts community livability, increases at the fourth power to the weight of the axle of the vehicles on there. So what we really need to do is we need to introduce a goal to reduce vehicle miles traveled per person. I also think we need to readdress the concept of level of service. We need to set a minimum threshold for doing this analysis under policy T 3.4. And policy T 3.22, publicly invest in parking, public parking. That is a mistake. That is a waste of public resources, and we need to eliminate that as a policy goal. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
3 minutes.
Good job. Darlene Follett, Able Housing, I think ADA.
Thank you. My name is Darlene Follett. I live in Skyline. And I just wanted to, again, thank you and everyone for this comprehensive plan. One of the things that is very close to my heart is our intellectually disabled in our community and finding housing that will support them in the future and in perpetuity. And we have discussed with the HACS committee, and we'll be sending our document and our notes to hopefully have some of the H4 changes in there that specifically states what our population is in need of. Currently, one of the things that's discussed in there is group housing, which they can't actually do with the, we need more integration into just single family homes. So the ADUs, cottages, and smaller homes are the focus, because the support services that they're provided that is not their parent, it has to be done in a non-group setting. And so we will be requesting some changes to the information there. I also wanted to just say that I support exactly what Pat and Dustin have said, that we need more affordable housing. One of the things that is happening right now is our Habitat for Humanity houses. And this is an exciting time for Anacortes to get housing that's affordable, except that our paraeducators that work in our schools, that help our children, can't afford a Habitat for Humanity house because they can't afford 70 to 80% AMI in Anacortes. So we really do need that lower AMI and more housing to help support those people. And these are the same people that will be helping to support our developmentally disabled, because it's not a high-paying job. There are zero services for our children, and it is going to be a problem because a lot of our kids have very aging parents. We've identified a number, I believe it's 46 currently, and a lot of those parents are in their 70s and 80s, and what will happen to our children is they will be picked up and removed from their community, from their house, from their jobs. These are people that work in our community. They're not homeless, they're not drug addicted, they're not any of these things that they're grouped into in a usual manner in something like this. So we just want to make sure to give them their own voice in this comprehensive plan for their future in perpetuity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person is Marlene Finley, all.
Good evening. My name's Marlene Finley. I live in Anacortes, and I'm here this evening representing Evergreen Islands. Evergreen Islands is a local nonprofit which has been working since 1977 to ensure the built and natural environment remains healthy for future generations here locally. So I just had, we submitted 7 pages of comments, so I just wanted to touch on a few this evening. We've been actively participating in the city's robust public involvement process. There's been 20 or so meetings between the Planning Commission and City Council, the 3 open houses, the climate team, the surveys, and much more. And a lot of comments have been received by the city, but we don't see the response loop. We haven't seen how the city is analyzing and tracking the public feedback. And we couldn't find that on the website. So we feel like it's important to show how the public's being listened to. Then under the climate element, we'd like to see the city taking a stronger leadership role on guiding the future of March Point with the 2 refineries. By far, the March Point refineries are the greatest greenhouse gas emitters in our area. Although they're not within the city boundaries, they are within the growth area management, the urban growth area. So they're subject, the refineries, the zoning is subject to Anacortes Municipal Code and is shaped by the Anacortes Comprehensive Plan, but the county manages the permitting and environmental review process. So between the two, things can kind of fall away and attention not paid. So what we are recommending is that the city take the lead in a sub-area plan for March Point to help guide the future of March Point. And if you want an example, Tacoma has a Tidal Flats sub-area plan where they work for several years with tribes, the county, the city, industry leaders, and interest group representatives. So March Point. Another area I wanted to bring up is as the strategy in the comprehensive plan is for infill, is for higher density in those undeveloped parcels we've heard about this evening, where we'd like to see focus on the stormwater management and sewer capacity as the areas are, as if there's going to be more density in those areas, that the city plan for the stormwater management and sewer capacity with higher density. Also, I want to bring to your attention that the plan recommends...
Ma'am,
yes.
Your time is up.
Okay. Well, we have written comments, and we wanted to thank all the staff, and we noticed the department heads that have also been attending the meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next person, Michelle Shaw, emailed concerns. And by the way, we have received many written and emailed comments, and believe me, we're reading them carefully.
I'm Michelle Shaw. I wasn't really planning to talk tonight, but one of the things I would like to address is pedestrian safety. And with all this growth, we live out by Washington Park, but getting into town is very unsafe. I've asked the city Public Works to put in a crosswalk out that way because we have a tourist destination out there that many people are not aware of what's happening with all these speeding cars and their kids, their bus stops. That's my biggest concern. And then walking into town is not feasible for many of us because of all the traffic and people on their phones and just all this added road things, which probably is something to do with climate and emissions, but that's pretty much what I wanted to say and address. And I did send in comments about this to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is Robert. I'm not sure how to say your last name. S.H. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Next person, Sarah Roberts.
Good evening. My name's Sarah Roberts, and I'm from Anacortes. And I was not planning on talking. I was just signing in, so this might sound a little incoherent. I really support a lot of the comments that went before about the housing. when I was talking to a city employee back early on in an open house, one of the things that he said was that you can have a parcel zoned for a certain type of house, but you can't actually make someone build that kind of house there. So I'm concerned that we won't actually get these lower income and mid-income houses in there unless we have a way of controlling or incentivizing the developers to put in those houses. I see from perhaps layman's terms that one of the mistakes that Anacortes made was all of the developments out 12th are really kind of, in general, fancy houses. They attracted a lot of out-of-town people. It made the developers very happy, but didn't really solve our local housing problems. What I'd like to see is mixed type housing instead of trying to stratify the types of housing within an area. Mixed type housing seems the healthiest, lower crime, more sort of social justice oriented rather than trying to have the high-end, high-income. So even in precious downtown, I think we can look at ways of opening it up to some higher density housing here and there, and that with that focus in housing, consideration should be made for access to parks, pedestrian-friendly access to shops, for people that can't afford the gas or the cars or so on, access to schools. The other thing I want to promote is plant some trees. I'd like more trees around the city, more trees in the development. Trees are good for temperature, water runoff, mood. They're important for a lot of things, and they make the appeal of the town much, much better. So thank you for your time, and thank you so much for the work you've done.
Thank you. Next person, Jerry, I think it's Jerry or Terry, S-H-O-E-N, Schoenthal, here we go, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm butchering names and I hate to do that.
Good evening, my name's Terry Schoenthal. I'm an Anacortes resident, and we've lived in Anacortes now for the past 6 years, and I've been pretty ruthless in talking to our neighbors and the people who work here in town about whether they actually live here or not. And I think one of the key things is that we have hundreds and hundreds of people who work here every day who would love to live here in Anacortes and who simply cannot. It's just out of their reach. And we see it every day with the traffic flowing in the morning and the traffic flowing out at night. And we've seen some nice diagrams talking about the stratification of what we really need. We need the low-income housing. What we need is housing and lots of it. You can't control a lot of the aspects of that. It's very hard to control that. It's going to be low income or whatever. But housing does become more affordable the more of it that you construct. So in the last go-around, when the development standards were set, 5-story units were allowed. One quickly jumped at it, and it turned into this huge brouhaha in the community. That it was changing things, there was a moratorium put up about it, and we really haven't seen a lot in the way since then. But we also know that 5 stories is one of those economic hurdles that developers look to overcome. So my personal thing is avoid the conditional use wherever you can. Remove the hurdles to construction. Don't fret whether you're getting upper level construction happening or for affordability. I mean, focus on that to some degree. But remove the hurdles to construction, and construction will happen. I think we've already seen some of that. So I guess one of my things is that the way to avoid some of the NIMBYism that happens in our community is to simply permit outright the housing that we want. Don't spend a lot of time and a lot of agony turning them into conditional use where hundreds of people come in and fret about whether or not this is going to change the community. It will. It will change the community over time. But I would argue that the community is a lot different now than it was before in terms of gated communities and multi-million-dollar homes as well. So housing, we need it here. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person is Chris, and I don't know what the last name is. Chris is coming, okay.
Ironically, I'm one of those people that had no intention of speaking, but I'm going to go ahead and speak anyway because I'm spilling over. But I'm going to try to focus my attention on affordability. I'm a developer builder in Anacortes.
So state your name.
I'm Chris Yon. I'm a resident of Anacortes, Washington. I've also been a developer and builder in town for many, many years, and I can understand everybody's points that we're here, people that want things to stay the same. I've been here since 1974. My parents were both teachers here. I've watched the town change in many different ways. So I understand the people that want the town to stay the same, but like all small towns in this country, there's going to be change. The one thing I wanted to talk about is affordable housing. Everybody talks about affordable housing, and my question is affordable to who? In the last 5 to 6 years, the average cost for me to build a home has gone up $36,000 because of energy code, which I understand needs to happen, because of stormwater, all the different changes, the code requirements. Each of these houses I build has gone up on the average of $36,000 a year. So to build, I build multi-million-dollar homes, I build duplexes, I build every level of home there is. But for me to build a duplex, I pay basically permit fees for 2 homes. So what I've always said that we should, like, as a municipality, maybe make it more affordable for developers and builders to build affordable housing, like come back like with reduced permit fees for multi-housing to the point where I would love to be a philanthropist and build free homes for everybody, but it's a really bad business like model for me to like build homes that I'm going to lose money on, when I could help the community and build more homes at a more affordable price. But it's going to take all of us like from different angles to make housing affordable. And right now I find it a challenge as a builder and developer. Like, you know, it's not anybody's fault, but the time it takes to get a permit, the cost of permits, the impact fees, all those things, it just keeps growing the price for me to build a home to the point where at the end it's not affordable to just about anybody in that low to medium income. And that's, I mean, according to the GMA, that's the housing market that we need to be focused on. That's where we need the most homes. But I can't, you know, as a builder, build homes that are going to meet that requirement. So that's my concern, that's my comment.
Thank you very much. Okay, next person is Trina Weary.
Good evening. My name is Trina Wary. I live in Anacortes. I'm a relatively new resident. What I hear tonight, and I'm very interested in this comprehensive plan because it is showing us, as was stated earlier, a vision, and we need visions. We need to have a goal to figure out where we want to go. And when I hear about housing, and I hear from Dustin Johnson, and I hear from Mark Leone, and I hear from Vicki Stausch, we need affordable housing. And we want people to come, and we want to be able to go out and enjoy the area, and we need service folks. We need people that want to work there. So that kind of housing is just critical. And then when I see on the charts that you showed here that 900 units for people in the 0 to 30% AMI, and then another 600 units for 30 to 50% AMI, that's the vast majority, 1,500 units. So I think it's really clear that information is giving you the roadmap for the city. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person is, Lori Gear. Thank you. Next person is Courtney Orick. She left? Oh, and it says here, no comment. Okay, sorry. All right, one more who signed up, but again, if you want to speak and you haven't signed up, I'm going to give you the opportunity. Last person on my list here is Louise Brissy. No? Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Betsy Braun, and I am a resident of the city of Anacortes. First, I have, in my past life, put these kinds of plans together in another life. And I just want to say a huge shout out to everybody at the city and all the people in the community who've participated in putting this plan together, because it is awesome. And I'm really excited after reading through it about where the city is going and how thoughtful and how forward-thinking this plan is. So huge shout out. Second, I would like to talk a little bit about barriers to development. I live on a property here in Anacortes that has a covenant that extends from D Avenue all the way to Anacapa Road. And interestingly enough, that covenant was put on the original plat for the property, and it completely restricts everything that density would otherwise want to produce in that neighborhood. I know it's not being followed. I've gone to open houses and I have seen accessory dwelling units, and I've seen people converting garages, and there's a new 3-story house right across the street from me that's under construction that is in violation of that covenant. So clearly, nobody wants it, but it's hundreds of properties, and we need help from the city to provide leadership to remove it. I know that there are similar covenants and similar homeowners association restrictions in many other parts of the city that are going to prevent the development that this plan is intending to encourage. So I would ask the city to help us move forward and move past these 1970s single-family, single-story with a walkout basement, no accessory dwelling unit, to garages, thinking that we need to move past. That's, 50, 60 years ago, it's time. I also would like to say that I read the whole thing. All the attachments, everything. Oh. And it was difficult to follow, to have things struck out and have the new language inserted, especially when there'd be pages and pages of strikeouts and then pages of inserts. On the next iteration, could you issue both the one with changes and a conformed document, so that we can go through the conformed document if we have a question, see back to what's changed? I think that would just make the whole flow of the plan and the review process much easier for those of us who don't do this for a living anymore. And lastly, I want to give a shout out to the city's planning department. I got a permit in 2 hours for a little renovation. How can we scale that up for developers who need to be able to walk in a day and walk out with their permit? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jordan Hay. I live right here in Anacortes, and I'm here to speak for the Downtown Anacortes Alliance Board. I want to thank you all for the work you've done on the 2025 Comprehensive Plan. It's great. As Anacortes' Main Street organization, we use the comprehensive plan as the foundation of our work, which keeps us aligned with the city and with our community, and so we're really excited that you're continuing to put energy into having it there. In this plan, we strongly support the emphasis on gathering spaces, workforce housing, pedestrian-friendly streets, connections to the waterfront, and the arts and the creative district. This plan gives us clear direction, and we really look forward to partnering with the city to bring it to life. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay, As recommended, we're going to leave this public hearing open. So with that, we're going to move on to the next item of business.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure that we gave folks that are online the opportunity to speak if they would raise their hand if they would like to make a comment.
There's no hands raised at the moment.
Okay. Thanks. That's all.
Thanks. Other business, looks like I have nothing other business, but I do have a packet with things. Miss Grage?
I'm sorry. You do have a packet?
I have a packet.
Oh, yes, you do have a packet. So there isn't, I don't have any updates for the planning department. The packet document contains an updated staff report, supplemental staff report regarding the future land use amendment changes. And so it's mostly stuff, mostly you've already seen, we added some information about the additional amendment requests for the Olson property and the museum property.
Right. Okay.
Madam Chairman.
Mr. Mills.
Just wanted to acknowledge that in reading that updated packet, that the setback information that I requested has now been embedded in that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm moving on to item 7, which is Planning Department update.
All right, thank you to everybody that showed up tonight. That was an incredibly well-run and informative public hearing. So I've done this a long time. That was really impressive. So getting to our planning department update, we were just here last week and nothing of major consequence that I can remember has happened in the past week, so I don't have a lot to offer any new information for the Planning Commission tonight. I apologize.
Don't apologize. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I do have a question, and I wish I would have looked ahead of time, but there is a meeting, I think it's September 9th. I think it's at the Mount Vernon Library, and it's regarding housing.
So that's another North Star presentation. They're going to have Greg Colburn present again.
Thank you.
I believe Greg presented at the North Star seminar symposium, which was, I believe, June 6th or June 9th. I can't remember. But he's going to be giving another presentation at the request of North Star to talk about the importance of housing, and you probably recall he was the author of housing, homelessness is a housing problem. So a lot of data indicating the correlation between the lack of affordable housing and housing in general and homelessness, and then discussing how these issues can be addressed and things that can be done.
Thank you. And planning commissioners was recommended, if you are able to go, you do need to sign up, and I just wanted to make sure or see. I have signed up. Has anybody else on the commission signed up? Okay. If you're interested, you would go to the North Star website. I don't know what that website is, but I'm sure you can find it. And I think it's about 2 hours, something like that.
Yeah, that would
like
seem about right.
6 to 8 or something like that. But if you're interested, I guess it'd be important to let Mr. Coleman know, because if there are more than 3 of us, we would need to publish that as a meeting.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order, commissioners?
Do we need to revisit, I'm sorry, Madam Chairman?
Mr. Mills.
Do we need to revisit the schedule of special meetings that we have laid out for the next couple of months? Or is they still has no change?
I don't know the answer to that.
Do you have information about the schedule?
You have that
The
in your
dates?
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Yes, and I can also send this out as well.
So the September 24th, if I remember, was the question about whether we would have a quorum.
Yeah.
September 24th. If you actually look at all of these dates, and if you know, I know that I won't be here on October 1st or 8th. Okay, September 17th, Mr. Dretsky can't make it, but can everybody else make it?
17th, yes. 24th, no.
Okay, the 24th, Mr. Mills will not be there,
I'm also out the 24th.
and Mr. Stoneman. Everybody else, as far as you know? Okay, so I think we're fine. I think we will have a quorum each meeting. Okay. Mr. Ryan says October 1st he will not be there. That still gives us a quorum. So I think we're fine.
Okay, so we were slow to start taking notes. What we're seeing is on September 24th, Commissioner Stoneman and Mills are unavailable. Any others?
Did Mr. McCombs say? He can, okay. Mr. McCombs, we were wondering about.
Is it no also?
No,
or
he said he
question?
would, he said he would be here.
So we'll have a quorum, it looks like, for each of these meetings.
And then October 1st is just Commissioner Ryan that's unavailable?
And me.
Okay, okay.
And I will not be available on the 8th either. Okay? Anything else for the good of the order?
Did you want to excuse Mr. Mills's absence today? We did not do that earlier.
Mr. McComb's absence.
Oh, sorry, Mr. McCombs. I am losing it.
I would like to move that we excuse Mr. McCombs.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to excuse Mr. McCombs for today. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, Mr. McCombs is excused. Thank you. Okay, it is 7:28 and we are adjourned.
Thank you very much.